Hello students. So today we are going to discuss about fission. Fission is one of the basic processes through which organisms reproduce themselves. Their like part. So binary fission. Most of the unicellular animals prefer this method of reproduction. These organisms reproduce by binary fission, especially when conditions are favorable. That is, adequate amount of food and moisture is available. The mother cell divides into two daughter cells, and each daughter cell begins its life like a new individual, and the parent generation ceases to exist after binary fission. Amoeba is a very good example of the organism which reproduces by binary fission. So what happens in this the parent cell divides into reproduced by binary fission, wherein adequate amount of food and moisture is available. So what does happen is the mother cell divides into two daughter cells, and both the mother cell and the daughter cells cease to exist. They exist individually, and they perform their own functions. They live their own life, and amoeba is a very good example of this. Binary fission in protozoa. You can have a look at it over the YouTube channel. Multiple fission. When conditions become unfavorable, that is, food, moisture, proper temperature, etc., are not available, this is the preferred mode of reproduction by unicellular organism. The organism develops a thick coating around itself. This is called cyst. So in this, when there is unfavorable circumstances are there, like there is no food, lack of moisture, lack of proper temperature, then multiple fission takes place. In this, basically preferred by unicellular organisms, and the organisms develop a thick coating around itself. This is called cyst, and the cyst helps the organisms to tide over the bad phase. So basically what happens during this unfavorable circumstances, the organisms develop a thick coating around itself. This is known as cyst, and it helps the cell to get over the bad phase. And the nucleus divides into several nuclei, and each daughter nucleus is surrounded by a membrane. When favorable conditions return, the cyst dissolves or breaks down, releasing the daughter nuclei. The daughter nuclei in turn grow into new individuals, and the plasmodium and meta undergo cyst stage when they are not in the body of their prime host, that is human. So what happens is basically when the unfavorable circumstances get over, during the unfavorable circumstances, the parent nuclei breaks down and produces several daughter nuclei. The daughter nuclei develops a membrane around it, and when the unfavorable circumstances goes over or passes on, what happens is the cyst gets dissolved, releasing the daughter nuclei. It releases the daughter nuclei, and the daughter nuclei in turn grows into new individuals. Now, what is budding? Budding is basically a process in which the organisms develop a bud on the main body of the organism. So we'll discuss about it. So yeast is an example of unicellular organism which reproduces by budding. Hydra is an example of multicellular organism which reproduces by this method. So how does budding develops in yeast? A small bud grows at the end of the yeast cell. I told you a small bud grows, means a bud-like structure grows in the organism. Nucleus gets elongated, and a part of it protrudes into the bud. The nucleus then divides into two nuclei. One of the nuclei goes from the bud. The bud grows to a certain extent and gets attached from the mother cell. So what happens is basically nucleus gets elongated, and a part of it protrudes into the bud. So there is a bud develops at the end of the yeast cell, and a nucleus elongates itself and attaches to the end of the bud. The nucleus then divides into two other nuclei, and once the nucleus goes into the bud goes into a certain extent and get detached from the mother cell. And how does the budding in a hydra takes place? A bud grows anyways on the main body of the hydra, and the bud grows to a certain size and gets detached from the mother hydra. This develops further to grow into a new individual. So in the next chapter we'll start with fragmentation. Thank you.